morning. I'm Tangia Anderson, principal at Global Outreach Charter Academy, and this morning I'm interviewing Mrs. Erin Lawrence, our reading interventionist.
Okay, so boys and girls, today we're going to talk about nonfiction. But first, and fiction. But we're going to talk about nonfiction. But first, we're going to talk about fiction and nonfiction and what's the difference. What is fiction, Michelle?
Fiction is like
It's not real. It's a story. It has to have a beginning, a middle, and end. What else does it need to have, Jalen?
a setting, a problem, and solution.
A setting, a problem, and solution. And I'm thinking of one more thing, Julia.
And maybe like fake pictures.
It could have fake pictures because it's a story. Aaron?
What?
It has to have a plot, right? That beginning, the middle, and the end, like Deja said. Then, who is in the story? What's that called? Michelle?
Characters.
The characters. So we know that fiction has these elements of the story, the character. Now we've talked about that a lot in this group, right?
Yes.
Now we're going to talk about nonfiction.
Good morning, Mrs. Lawrence. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you.
Thank you for coming in this morning. I really wanted to talk with you about your lesson on text structure. I really like how you developed your plan and how you had your students engage. Tell me, why did you select that particular lesson?
I selected text structure because we had worked on compare and contrast, cause and effect, sequence of events, and the other in description. Well, not quite description, but we'd worked on the other text structures. So I knew that the students had a good background on compare and contrast and cause and effect, so that when I asked them to find the text structure, they could take that background knowledge of identifying compare and contrast and being able to mix it with all the other text structures so that they could really understand why the author's writing the paragraph or the story. So that was my direction.
So I really enjoyed how the students were engaged. Even one of the students said, well, I'm going to predict. So she seemed to be very on top of the text structure concept.
Sesame, me, seeds.
Okay, great job, Julia. Let's give Julia 2 claps. 1, 2. Now let's everybody read it. Go.
Goosebumps make me shiver. I get little bumps on my skin. They look like sesame seeds.
Now, what is the author describing?
So tell me, why was it important to connect to real life experiences?
I use the goosebumps examples because most kids have experienced goosebumps. They might not be called goosebumps, some call them chill bumps and things like that. But I knew that students could tell what a goosebump was. So when they compared and contrast goosebumps to why you would get goosebumps to why you don't get goosebumps, it was kind of something that they could relate to. Oh, I do get goosebumps because of this. And then the cause and effect. Why do they get goosebumps? They get goosebumps because they're cold. So we tried to relate to, oh, I can get that, so that they can connect and then identify the text structure in their everyday life as well.
Mm-hmm. And I was able to see that connection within your lesson. I was thinking that with a small group, I could see the difference in the students. I would like to see you have a little more time with them. What are your thoughts on that?
I definitely need more time with the students. I know my schedule, when I created, I wanted to help as many students as I could, and I think that put me at a disadvantage because then I wasn't truly helping the students to the ability that I could. So if I kind of took on less students and was able to give them 45 minutes to maybe an hour, I think that those students, we would really see the gains, and then we would really see the gains in the data, because we saw gains in our data, but we didn't see as many gains as we would like to see through my position. So if I spent more time with the students, then they would get more practice and things like that, if I could see them daily with the 45 to 60 minutes.
I agree with that. So let's look at your data for a moment. Being the reading interventionist this year was a wonderful opportunity for our school to have you on staff, and from your working with the various grade levels, your students were able to make significant gains. So tell me, what do you think about how you worked as a reading interventionist, the pros and cons for our school?
Well, in the beginning, I did the SRA. So I did a different program and things like that. So I taught them basically how to read and and strategies on how to read. So I got a lot of time with that. And then once it got closer to the FCAT, I went to the skills-based. So it was more main idea, this is how we do the main idea. So I was able to spend more time with those students and really identify their weaknesses. Like I looked at their data from their benchmark assessments and I said, this student does not know how to find the main idea. They got 0% correct. And then one student got 33% correct and things like that. So I was able to identify the weaknesses of just that small group of students and not just the whole class and things like that. So then I could work on those skills that were targeted for just those kids.
So going forward, you see the value of having a reading interventionist on staff.
I do, because it gives support, because the kids that I worked with were, 2 years below grade level. And that's a lot to make up. And that's a lot for the teacher because they have these kids that they're, especially in third grade, because that's the group I did my observation on. But those kids need to pass the FCAT to go on to fourth grade. But their teachers have to get these kids that are 2 years below, which are the kids that you met in my video, and then the kids that are on grade level, and then there are kids that are above. And yes, it's differentiated within the classroom, but it gives the teachers extra time to focus on those kids that need it in the classroom, and they get pulled out to get extra help as well. So it was just a really good opportunity to create good readers out of those struggling students.
So given the opportunity to be in this position next year, how do you foresee you handling the role as the reading interventionist?
I would do things a little bit differently. I would definitely not take on as many students. So maybe just focus on like every 9 weeks I could do like 3rd through 5th for the first 9 weeks. And then maybe 6th through 8th for the next 9 weeks. And then K through 2nd for the 4th 9 weeks and things like that. So I would take on less grades so that I would have more focus on the 45 minutes to the 60 minutes with the students. And I would also talk more with the teachers. Like I knew what was expected of the students, but I would try to provide more support with the students and what they're actually learning. So maybe pull in on some days and push out, or pull out and push in would maybe be something that I would try for a couple of days a week to see if that would help too.
And what support as the principal could I provide for you to make the position easier for you?
As the principal, I think we could come up more together of a plan of who you want me to work with.
Okay.
And like what our target students are going to be. Like, is it just the bottom quartile in grades 3rd and 4th? Is it, and like really focus on what our needs are and what can best improve the school.
And I agree. I know I want to start with the bottom quartile, and then as the year progresses, we can look at our plan and see where we need to go to the next level. So I really enjoyed having you as our reading interventionist this year, and I look forward to next year working with you and helping our students to improve and make gains.
Thank you.